Okay. Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's meeting. Nice to see so many people here. So welcome to the council meeting on the 19th of November 2024. We're having a few recording issues, so could the councillors please speak up and speak clearly? It's being recorded on this little device here because our microphone's not working. So I'd like to start by acknowledgement of country. I'd like to begin by paying my respects to the traditional and original owners of this land, the Noongar people, to pay respect to those who have passed before us, and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are the custodians of this land. Apologies for absence. We've got Councillor Larkins, Councillor Mira Posada, I believe Councillor Campbell will also be absent tonight. Confirmation of the minutes of the 15th of October 2024, that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 15th of October 2024 be confirmed. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Woolley and Councillor Nichols to second, please. Mayor's report. Oh, all those in favour? Thank you, unanimous, thank you. Right, Mayor's report. Well, I've actually been away for the last month, having a bit of a fresh air holiday. So I did make it to the Seniors Advisory Group this morning, and I also attended a online informal best briefing it was midnight at my end. So I was still taking part in councillor activities, but there's nothing to report.
No observations about local governments in the UK.
There was lots of observations about local government, and I think we are doing all right here.
That's really
We, as you put it, we are definitely the happier shire to Nottinghamshire.
Through the chair, just reflecting on that, there was the Taswater AGM that I attended as your proxy on the 28th of October. I don't know if that's mentioned anywhere else in the reports, so perhaps it could be noted there.
Item 8, council workshops. Lots happening in my absence, which is nice to see, and it's reflected in this agenda, which is a nice, wholesome agenda. So thank you for carrying on in my absence. Obviously, you don't need me. Right, item 11 on page 4, the work group reports. The recommendation being that the work group reports be listed as received. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Woolley and Councillor Reynolds to second that. Thank you. Do we have any comments or conversation on these reports? Councillor. Thank you.
The General Manager's report, there's a couple of questions there. If I may, the Dodgers Ferry Pool proponent site meeting, is there an update that can be shared from that?
Yes, through the chair. So the Dodgers Ferry privately developed pool will be commencing. Site works will start next week, so site clearing works, and that's one contractor, and then the builder will be on site mid-January to start the construction of the pool, and it'll be at least a 12-month construction period. And then Southern Beaches and Sorell will have an indoor pool.
Councillor Allen.
General Manager, if I could ask about your meeting with 10 Live CEO, is that in regards to Midway Point and the CAP management plan or something different?
Through Mayor, I've also got 2 dates there as well. It wasn't 17th of July, it was 7th of November. There was a catch up around not only the CAP management programs that we've got running at Midway, what we're progressing in Southern Beaches, particularly around the Dr. Street Rec Reserve, which will happen. There was a chance to catch up on how effective they've been. They've had a really good response rate at 10 Lives, the de-sexing program. And also they shared some stats around their operations and, for want of a better term, they were wanting to request some additional support from council. Financial support was actually quite modest, so they will form part of that mid-year growth review discussions, but I think there's such a lot of benefit in partnering with them and helping them to continue to operate. That would be foolish to not do our bit, seeing as though we're drawing upon their services as much as we do. But it was a positive meeting. I hadn't actually sat down with them at all prior, so it was a long overdue.
Was that funding to expand the de-sexing program or is it just in the general running of the operation?
Yeah, it's the latter for the members.
Cool, thank you.
I'm going to
Through the chair, General Manager, your attendance at a meeting for the electric vehicle fleet rollout, would you care to give us a few salient points on that one?
Well, through the mayor, when there's a cynic's not the right word, I'm just concerned in terms of we had a report done, an assessment report done last calendar year on how to do the sort of transition the fleet to electric. And there were some assumptions in that I wasn't comfortable with, and just through the passage of time, been considering it more fully. And then this forum, look at the name of it, ran this session, and I thought it was very timely. Just going to put the Australian Electric Vehicle Association National Conference, and it was really, really beneficial. So it was a lot of interesting information from not only those who have rolled out really large fleets, both light and heavy vehicles. So what's the name of the company that does the Skybus? Kinetic, who are global.
Yeah.
So hearing from them how they rolled out their EV heavy fleet network, plus TAS networks, hydro, so the whole range, and also the academics speaking around the whole life cycle costs from basically the first shovelful of lithium to getting rid of the carbons at end of life.
Right.
So the amount of factual information I got was really, really beneficial, and I think listening to those who have done on a much larger scale and for vehicles that are having to travel far greater distances than what we need, it seems to me really vital that not only our pool cars, but also some of the depot heavy vehicles could be quite a realistic option for us. So it's quite a process to get it to fruition, but it was really beneficial to hear from the experts.
Yeah, good, thank you.
My colleague beat me to the punch on that one. Sorry, but look, they're improving the electric vehicles all the time. I think it's a little bit premature personally anyway, they are improving them all the time.
Any other Councillor Reid?
Thank you. Again, General Manager, there's a couple of items there that relate to the South or Greater Hobart Councils, climate capability, waste recovery, strategic land use planning, and the Greater Hobart collaboration generally. Are there any reflections there on the Southern Tasmanian Councils Association role or the future of that collective, of Sorell as part of that collective?
Through me, in a sense of a replacement to the STCA or?
Continue or replace? Yes, I suppose so. Given that there's so many things, so many issues that require that collaboration.
Yeah, I'm just pausing because it's been interesting. Well, a week's been on local government. So, in October, Brighton and Sorell, who are nominated as adjunct councils to the Greater Hobart Committee, have been since its inception a few years ago now. We haven't had a role to play, even though we form part of the metro footprint and the urban growth boundary, the Southern Tas Regional Land Use Strategy. The only 6 councils are the 4 metros in Brighton and Sorell, so there's some logic as to why we've been part of the Hobart Metro approach, regional approach. So we were really happy to get from the Secretary of Safe Growth the formal invite that we're now being included in the committee. We met with the exec officer who sits with Hobart Council, who facilitates the whole operation. He explained the requirements on effectively membership fees and contributions, which were really reasonable for what the benefits were going to be. And we were looking forward to the first meeting, and then unfortunately the 4 metro mayors had a different view and thought that maybe Sorell and Brighton shouldn't be part of the collective. And then that was ratified at a committee meeting with the minister. So Brighton and Sorell looking at each other going, "You did something wrong." Or so we've communications gone out from Mayor Gatehouse and Mayor Gray at Brighton to those 4 metro mayors saying, "Could you maybe explain yourself, because you actually invited us in writing and then didn't." We're waiting. This is it. Today that alert went out, so we're waiting to hear. It's an odd chain of events to be invited and uninvited. So that's not a positive.
No.
But the other matters, which sort of makes the whole thing ridiculous, is that the local government climate capability program, which the LJT are running on behalf of the state. That was a really good discussion around how LJT can best assist councils to roll out an approach, both operationally and strategically, to climate capability across those organisations. Similarly, the Waste Recovery Board forum, which was yesterday, was for the whole state, and the discussions around the south and some issues around how we struggle as a region to get coordinated were made, and I was sort of thinking to myself, probably fairly timely. And the Tasmania South Regional Organics discussion today was again useful, and yeah, it's just odd that the councils can't seem to formalise dealings in that way. Watch this space.
Okay. And of course, the land use plan, which is on behalf of the 12 southern councils, is it?
Well, through the mayor, but even more strange is that the reason that project's happening is because Brighton and Sorell triggered it with the minister, planning minister. So, like I said, the GM at Brighton, James Driver, he and I just look at each other going,
Okay. Oh, well, thank you for that reality check. Thanks.
I can add to that I've spoken to a few southern mayors, regional mayors, and there is an appetite to bring the STCA back to life, especially for the regional councils. Maybe not in the same format, but the current STCA has a process it's going through at the moment, and then we'll get heads together and see what happens. Because as is, there are some regional councils that are left out completely and not represented, other than represented themselves.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that's ongoing.
Thank you.
But I have another question, please.
Councillor.
While we have our environmental health officer here with us, the operator of the commercial business who is discharging wastewater into the pit water, is there anything further on that, Greg?
Mayor, if I may answer that question, I did have a discussion with someone associated with that business who will be coming to meet with the plumbing business, he's told me, in the first week in December, to secure funding, which he was happy for me to convey to council. So I don't foresee an obstacle now to it actually happening. But,
Well, that's a bit of progress anyway.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it is constant every month. I seek updates about what's going on. It is taking a lot longer than I would like, but the other option means enforcement through court, which is not a short process either.
And just adding to that, I'm glad to see the wastewater and stormwater special area plan is about to tip off, is that right?
Okay, so yes, we've just commenced some consultation and we invite all sort of residents of the Southern Beaches to complete that survey. We'll give a bit of good baseline information for the consultants starting work. They'll be coming down in the first week in December for a 3 days tour to look at some of the issues in the Southern Beaches. And then, not that we've announced this, but Stacey will soon put out, there'll be an opportunity for an opportunity in that first week in December for interested residents to participate and discuss with the consultants.
So there's plenty of consultation.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And there will be consultation after the draft comes out as well.
Right. Thanks, Greg.
Councillor Reynolds.
I just want to ask Jess about her meeting with the Sorell School Wellbeing Team, what that was in regards to, and
Through the mayor, the meeting was actually deferred, so I haven't had it as yet. But it was in relation to the South East Youth Report and the recommendations, how we can go about achieving those and their thoughts on
excellent, thank you.
Any more questions? No?
Through the minutes, apologies. This might be in a different item. I was looking for the waste management report on the collection figures, but is that in another item?
I think that's
Further on, thank you. Oh,
There it is, it's
It's there. It's in
oh,
there.
is it?
Yep.
Just
I
wasn't,
haven't lost it. Just in 2 seconds.
page 25.
I've skipped over it. Right. In broad terms, what I wanted to, just wanted to say is it's.
31, sorry.
Thank you. 31. Yes, under the waste management report, thank you. I just wanted to say that it's terrific to see those figures now, and it's something that it's a piece of the puzzle that had been missing for a long time, and it's fantastic to have regular reporting and publicly available now, so terrific.
Right. All those in favour of accepting those reports, please show of hands. Unanimous, thank you. On to page 43, petitions to be actioned. Do I know,
Sorry,
there's
it's
no
nothing
change? I thought that last statement.
It has been updated, there's nothing there's no formal
Okay,
system. I'll provide an update to it,
right, okay.
to the status in that table.
Page 44, item 14, land use planning. The Mayor advised in accordance with the provisions of Part 2 Regulation 25 of the Local Government Meeting and Procedures Regulations 2015 the intention of the council to act as a planning authority pursuant to the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 is to be noted. In accordance with Regulation 25, the council will act as a planning authority in respect of those matters appearing under item 14 on this agenda, inclusive of any supplementary items. So 14.1, Sorell Planning Authority minutes. The recommendation being that the minutes of the Sorell Planning Authority SPA meeting of 15th and 29th of October 2024 be noted. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Nichols. Thank you very much. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Item 15 on page 45, governance. Several items in the governance section. So the Sorell Council Climate Change Adaptation Plan 2024, the recommendation being that the council resolves to endorse the revised Sorell Council Climate Change Adaptation Plan 2024. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Reynolds. I will get there, don't worry. Everybody's, I assume, has read the plan, but are there any questions or would GM like to speak to it?
Oh, through there's no questions. We did discuss it at the workshop. It's a very useful but overdue update of our original document from, I think, circa 2012 or thereabouts, when that project first started through this TCA. So there's been a lot happen in the world of climate change in that intervening period. And yeah, it was timely last week attending the LJT briefing on that climate capability program that we're doing for the sector, funded by Department of State Growth. So, you know, the range of matters to do with climate change and how it's affecting council operations and budgets and longer term strategies is growing in, I wouldn't say it's growing in complexity, but it's growing in importance. So it's timely that we've got this update, and it's a lot more detailed and nuanced around Sorell and what our requirements are, what we need to consider. So the whole project from inception, which was 2011, I think it started, has been one of the more useful projects that not only the STCA's run, but just the benefit to the Southern Council.
There's an awful lot of work on it.
Yeah, that's good.
I think the photo on page 61 is very graphic.
Councillor Reid, do you have any
I
comments?
was just would like to mention two things. This one is, again, it's the result of collaboration across the region councils, and it's a terrific example of that, where the work's being done once, but at a very professional level, but then applied to local circumstances, and we've got a fantastic, very useful plan out of it. So
Definitely
it's a good example. Yeah.
Allows for consistency.
Yeah.
So all those in favour of accepting this? Unanimous, thank you. Page 93, private works policy. Recommendation that the council resolve to endorse the private works policy. Can I have someone to move this? Councillor Nichols and Councillor Reid second. Thank you. Any comments on this? Councillor Reid?
Thank you. The general manager might have some other comments, but I'd just like to note the audit panel meeting last week. This is one of the things that had come up in audit discussions from time to time, or it's an issue in other councils, and this policy sort of squares it off and makes it very clear that it's not something to engage in, but we've got a very clear policy why now.
All those in favour of accepting this recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Page 103 in the agenda, governance framework, recommendation that the council resolve to endorse and adopt the governance framework. Again, there's been a lot of work gone into this. Can I have someone to move this motion, please? Councillor Reid. Someone second it? Councillor Nichols, thank you very much. Would anybody like to speak to this? No? Oh, we are.
This is a result of a motion that council took, I can't remember, must have been earlier in the year, which is terrific to see it come to fruition, and just provides that practical link between the plethora of laws and rules and regulations and guidelines that are available to us and how we actually apply it locally for the elected members here. So pleased to see it actually come to fruition.
A to-do book.
Yes.
All those in favour of? Unanimous, thank you very much. On to item 17, community grants programme. Recommendation that the council resolve to approve the grant application for the South East Tasmania Southcoast under the 2024-2025 community grants programme as per the following report. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Trenius and Councillor Reynolds to second. Thank you. Christmas carols. All those in favour of? Unanimous, thank you. Right, on to the finance report. Page 107 in the agenda. 18.1, executive summary financial report, October 2024 year to date. The recommendation that the executive summary financial report, October 24 year to date, be received and noted by council. Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Nichols and Councillor Reid to second. There's a lot going on. Are there any questions or comments on the executive summary? No?
Just very detailed as usual.
It is very detailed, and I think the fact that it is very detailed means we don't have to ask lots of questions. I think the questions are answered. So,
Through then, I'd like to add to that position's often noted by the audit panel as well, and gives us a great confidence that they see that the benefit and the skill and the time that goes into these reports, and it puts us in a very strong position when we're trying to make decisions, because we have such reliable and detailed information to make those decisions on. So thank you to everyone involved in the work that goes into them.
all those in favour of accepting that report, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you. On to page 130. Capital budget adjustments. Item 18.2, the recommendation being that the council resolve pursuant of the section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the below adjustments to the 2024-2025 capital budget estimates. And I have someone to move this motion, Councillor Trenius and Councillor Reid to second it. All happy? Any comments? No? All those in favour of the adjustments, please show hands. Councillor Trenius?
I did. I put
Did
my
you?
hand up,
Sorry.
yeah, and then I put it down very quickly.
Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. on to page 144. Item 19 in the agenda, our 19.1 is a tree vandalism policy. The recommendation being that the council resolve to endorse the tree vandalism policy. So can I have someone to move this? Councillor Nichols and Councillor Reid to second it. I think this is a fantastic move to, there's been a few occurrences now of vegetation and trees being damaged or removed for the sake of view or for other reasons, and hopefully this will deter those from doing anything in future. Can I have someone to move further that motion? You did, right, sorry, I had a holiday moment.
It's Tuesday.
Through the chair,
The world moved.
through the chair, I think, if I may, that the other reflection on this is that it brings us Sorell Council into line with our neighbouring councils, particularly Clarence and the Morgan's Bay, so that, you know, again, it's that regional consistency that makes these approaches all the more effective. So,
All those in favour of adopting this policy? Yes, thank you very much. On to page 151. Item 19.2, endorsement of the reserve management plans. The recommendation is that the council resolves to endorse the following reserve management plans. There are 5 items there. Would you like me to read them, or are you happy to? Can I have someone to move this, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Terenius to second. Again, another policy to bring consistency across the municipality. NRM officer is very hardworking and very dedicated, and we really do appreciate all that he does, because he really does care about us and the environment. Do we have someone to move it? Sorry,
Yeah.
we just cried. Are there any comments on?
thank you, through the chair. Again, another example of some of improved collaboration and the result of a lot of involvement of stakeholders and consideration of these, how council manages these areas, and it's great to have that documented so well. And I fully support the work that's gone into it. So great to see us finally improving it. Yeah, a very big job.
Yeah. Councillor.
I had and I think I did raise it some time ago, from a resident who backed onto Parnell Street Reserve. The general manager may remember, I don't know, she was very concerned about fire risk, and whether there was anything, a break between her property and Parnell was undertaken. I'm not quite sure, but you would know.
I'll have to get details off you afterwards. I'm not aware of that, but I mean, the next item deals with fire management,
Yes,
or
yeah.
particularly to those reserves, and I'll find out who their business.
Okay.
All those in favour of accepting this recommendation, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. That's a very good segue, Councillor Terenius, thank you very much.
No worries.
So we now get to 19.3, which is the council reserve bushfire management plans. recommendation being that the council resolves to endorse two items listed below and will be on the screen. Page 156.
156.
156. There we go. Can I have someone to move this motion, please? Councillor Nichols, someone second. Councillor Reynolds. This is my pet topic, bushfire. Very passionate about keeping everybody safe. It's nice to see guidelines laid down by the council to act responsibly with their reserves, and that's what we ask people to do, is act responsibly. And I believe I read in here, Councillor Trennis, that there is councillor advocating for a 2 metre
No, great, yeah.
2 metre break around and the maintenance of fire trails, access trails as well. So that will keep us all as safe as possible. Are there any comments on this, Councillor Nichols?
Through the chair, just, I don't know if I missed it, but there's no mention of any static water, provision of any static water supply to any of the reserves, and I'm just wondering how practical that would be or not,
Through me, in what sense?
providing some sort of static water
In
supply.
the reserves, for
Yeah.
firefighting purposes.
Yeah,
I
there are-
haven't considered that. I'd need to take it on notice and have a discussion with DIVAS around we engaged expert consultants in how to form these plans up.
yeah.
And there was a fair bit of community involvement as well with this, so you'd have to weigh up the impacts and the practicalities of having
Yes,
static water supply.
yeah, I didn't think I saw anything about having a static water supply, so.
No, there's nothing in the
No.
around that. I need to talk to DIVAS around that.
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't normally, from a practicality point of view, I generally wouldn't go down that path. I can understand why you want to, but
Yeah,
I mean, the only one we have really is that, and it's an offset, not offset, it was a sort of byproduct of the 2013 bushfires.
yeah,
Um,
at Connolly's and
Connolly's.
Dun Alley, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did the same thing, both councils, at Dun as well.
Right,
But that was sort of an initiative that the volunteer brigades and the community.
yeah,
Yeah, I generally try and steer away from it, but like I said, I like the benefit of having a chat with DIVAS
okay,
further
Thank you.
before we dealing with that.
thank you.
I can speak from a practical sense. It would take, if there was a fire, it would take more than a tank full. If
Right,
we had a static tank,
yeah,
it would take more than that. There are an increasing number of households where you see a red W sign on there. That means that any brigade can access their water for any purpose.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few of those around now, particularly in the more rural areas.
right,
There's irrigation water at Dodgers Ferry Fire Station,
yeah,
so their tank is regularly filled.
yeah, okay,
And we can also, the fire brigades can also access the irrigation scheme from a couple of points.
okay, good. Probably answered my question. Thank you.
Right, all those in favour of adopting this reserve bushfire management plan, please show their hands. Unanimous, thank you. Right, page 160, health and compliance. Item 20, fire abatement policy. Recommendation that the council resolve to adopt the fire abatement policy included in Appendix 1. I have someone to move this, please. Councillor Nichols, seconder. Councillor Reynolds. Any comment or conversation on this? No? Right, all those in favour of adopting this fire abatement policy, please turn hand. Unanimous, thank you. Page 66, item 20.2, recreational water quality monitoring report. Recommendation being that the council resolves to receive and note the recreational water quality monitoring report 2023-24 attached in appendix 1 and commit to continue monitoring the existing 7 sites. Can I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Reid and Councillor Nichols, I think. Councillor Trent. Thank you. Any comment on this? No? All those,
Sorry, late to the party. Again, it's another example that this agenda seems to be full of the work that's made routine and made public and improves community confidence in access to public facilities. So something that we've been doing for a number of years, I believe.
Yeah.
And it just continues that process, which is terrific. Are there plans, is there scope to increase it, given, assuming there'd be additional resources required? Yeah, I suppose that's my question, is there scope for potential for increasing the
Yeah, if I may
study?
answer that question, there's always scope to increase, but there's obviously for what reason. You don't sample recreational water quality for every drop of water that's there. You tend to focus on where the risk is, and the risk is in the sites that people use. So there have been, and having been involved in it for most of 30 years, there has been some adaptations, like we did from some time ago to Marion Bay, but obviously the level of use of Marion Bay is relatively low and it's very flushed. And to be honest, the only real source of pollution is when it's pouring with rain and the creek runs out to the bay. But the other reason that we used to do it was when the Falls Festival was on, because that was a pretty highly used beach over that where you had about thousands of people swimming. So leading up to the Falls Festival, we used to do some sampling then. We have added a few sites like the little beach below McKinley Street, which doesn't have a name, as more people in Newbold Point were using that and swimming. So we tend to look at areas where there have been beaches are being used more so. So there is some scope as communities change. There obviously are a few other little beaches, but if we've got feedback from the community that those beaches are being used significantly, and particularly when those beaches are close by to other residential areas or potential sources of pollution, that would motivate the need to monitor to see if it's safe for people to swim there. So, yes is a simple answer, but I don't foresee, unless there's feedback from the community, that people are swimming in other areas other than the main sites, which is Carlton Beach or Park Beach within the sample there, because that's where most of the activity is. We did used to do some work at near the boat ramp, Tiger Head, but we tend to take it where people would more so swim, which is at the end of 7th Avenue. Primrose Sands, Conley's Marsh is one that we've added over the years because it's been quite a popular site. We did used to do in Lewisham at Jones Bay, but for obvious reasons with the outfall, we recommended many years ago to stop swimming there, and to be honest, it's too shallow to really swim. We used to go to Oaklines Beach, but for the same reason, unless we go being 500 metres out into the channel, it's not really this place, but it's tended to be a wading area rather than a swimming area. But there's always scope to consider those, but we feel that where we do monitor is accords with where most of the people are swimming and hence where most of the risk would exist.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Greg, and your team for keeping us safe. You're very efficient and on the ball and seem to, well, you do use best practice to keep us safe and very adaptive, so thank you very much for that. Councillor Nichols.
I've just got a question. When you do the sampling, Greg,
Yes.
is it the same time every month?
Yeah, if I may answer that question, under the Public Health Act, the recreational water quality guidelines, the monitoring has to be weekly, and it has to be from the start of December and through to the end of March. The only time that it might not be weekly is depending on when Christmas is, because sometimes the lab's closed or we're closed, so there might be a little period there, but primarily the intention is to do it weekly. We generally do it early in the week, and that's for the only reason to get the results back, because it's a 1 to 2 day test. If you took them late in the week, they would arrive on the weekend, and if there was a need to issue, if you got a really bad result and you had to either do an immediate follow-up or you had to issue a warning, it's not very productive for that to come in late on Friday afternoon and gone home, so that's what we tend to do early in the week.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour of adopting this recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Following page 168, recreation facilities and recreation. Item 22.1, Sorell Memorial Hall fee schedule addition. Recommendation that the council resolve to amend the 2024-2025 financial year fees and charges schedule with the inclusion of a separate fee for light and sound equipment at the Sorell Memorial Hall at $60 per hour. Can I have someone to move this recommendation, please? Councillor Nichols, Councillor Reynolds. Fairly self-explanatory, that one. Councillor Reynolds?
I'm confused. So just in the background, it says the Sorell on stage, we're saying that it's unsustainable, but now this is adding an additional fee on top of what their already hall hire fee would have been, is it? Or
No, it's to separate out that for those who want to use sort of part of the facilities rather than the entirety of it. So at the moment, it's only captured if you're booking as an entry the entire facility. So it's for those who just want to use the main hall and require light sound as well, but don't need everything else
okay,
attached, so it's actually cost less.
yeah. So the
represents-
package came with the whole booking of the whole venue.
Yeah. Not everybody wants the whole thing, obviously.
Okay.
But that was done, correct me if I'm wrong, that was done really to ensure that there wasn't any conflict with, if we've got someone want to use the sub-room or kitchen whilst there's a big performance happening next door, it's not really, separate hires, it's not really conducive to a well-run operation, so we've just broadened out the scope where people can sort of pick and choose what they do and don't need.
Yeah, that makes sense now. Thank you.
Sorry. Councillor Reid.
Thank you. And the light and sound equipment belongs to council, but usually operated by the volunteers. It's from Sorell on stage. What if the hirer doesn't have either doesn't want to or doesn't have an arrangement with Sorell on stage? Is it hirers able to use it themselves or yes?
Through they can, it's generally, from what Sonia's told me, generally the Sorell stage do it.
Mm-hmm.
They have the goodness of their heart, then they've got the expertise in doing it, but as an individual hire, if you know how to do it, utilise it yourself, but it's not the simple stuff.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Wood, did you have a comment?
No. Fine.
All those in favour of adopting this recommendation? Unanimous, thank you very much. Right, now we move on to questions from the public. Just a minute. If you'd like to stand and state, hang on, and state, Sharon, stand up. Come on. What would you like to
I didn't know
ask?
you were referring to me, sorry.
So I was
Sharon
trying to work out whether the recording was still okay.
Sharon Fotheringham from Dorset. I'd like to put in an apology to Mrs. Kathy Manussi. She couldn't attend tonight, but she wished to thank the 3 councillors that attended the sessions with Air Services Australia, Councillor Melinda, Councillor Beth and Councillor Marisol. Thank you all very much for coming along and supporting us. I'd also like to... Oh, sorry. Thank you.
I know.
I'd just like to ask the council if we could get any help. We've just recently ascertained that we've got a problem with water tanks and the flight path. Because the flight path is so low at 1,200 feet, ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organisation, states that there's a problem with any flight path 3,000 feet and below for health. We believe that our water tanks, everyone's is water tank dependent in Primrose Sands, and we believe that our water tanks have been polluted. I have spoken to Greg about this, and he can't point me in the right direction. We have been to the State Health Department, we have been to the Environment Protection Department, and we can't get any help just to even get our water tested to see what is actually happening. Is there any way the council could help us?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I mean, I've spoken to Greg about it, and we've received emails from Sharon and Kathy, and from Sharon and Kathy around the issue, and I mean, I'd be, without really having a discussion with council separate, I'd be reluctant for council to step into the realm of doing individual property, albeit obviously not every property, but individual property water tank testing. It'd be something I would have thought would be more appropriate that the individual landowners would procure and secure themselves, but you know, it's something we can consider. But you know, my recommendation to council would be that's not something we would do. I'm not going to put Greg on the spot, unless he wants to put on the spot.
We've been on the spot a few times before. I would like to thank Sharon for at least giving me the heads up and the courtesy of calling me last week, because it did give me the opportunity to talk to Robert. It also gave me the opportunity to talk to the EPA, who then referred me to either Hobart Airport or Air Services Australia. I did do a little bit of my own reading, and I'll put my hand on my heart and say I'm not an air quality specialist. I've had a lot to do with tank water, but I did talk to someone at Air Services Australia because this issue did come up, I think, with Brisbane Airport. Some of the comments that have come up, admittedly, by that circumstance, the planes were a little bit higher altitude. But the issue is still you're going to get a lot of dispersion, and certainly the person at Air Services Australia is quite familiar with that. Their belief is, obviously when you think about any pollutant coming from burnt aviation fuel, it's not going to be the same as obviously aviation fuel, because you can look at different carbon chains for any hydrocarbons and look at the difference between petrol and diesel and aviation fuel. But once it's burnt, you're going to have similar constituents. It's not impossible, talking to one of their scientists, to have little markers that might show that it's a little bit different, but his belief was that the levels would be so low, and due to the dispersion, it would be test the levels of detection to even pick anything up. So even if you could, you think of, even at 12,000 feet, depending on the wind directions and all those sort of things, and I'm not an atmospheric scientist, but you're going to have lots of factors that's going to affect how those particles are going to distribute. So the amount of land mass that it can potentially fall on, then compared to the small catchments that would fall onto someone's roof and then into their water tank. The other variable, apart from assuming that you could find something that you could test for and the cost you have to get a specialist to actually do it, because just taking the samples doesn't necessarily prove much. You have to have the right sort of methodology for how you went about it to have any scientific validity in the results that you get. Then working out what parameters you test for and that. But all of that aside, the other thing that I can quite confidently say, if I went down to, given how dry it's been, and took any samples out of anyone's water tanks right now, I just tell you, you've got wonderful water because most of it's come from Tas water. So you need the rainfall to flush. The other thing as well, any of that particulate matter, you're going to pick up from wood smoke and wood heaters and other vehicle emissions, similar types of constituents that also have a detrimental to health that you have to work out, well, what's coming from what source and how you would do it. There might be, as I say, the scientists at Air Services Australia said there might be little markers, but they will be at low levels, and whether you pick them up or not. So it's not as simple as grabbing a couple of samples out of a water tank. You would need to do a broader study to have any basis to it. They did offer to supply council with some more information that they have about not exactly that study, but there are some other studies around the world that they could refer to. But I only talked to this gentleman literally at 4:30 this afternoon after doing a bit of ringing around, talking to people since he called and did a little bit of reading. So it's not as straightforward as just getting a couple of samples, and you really would have to look at what you did, because there's a greater likelihood of all you would do is just test water that's already in tanks, because that's probably come from other potable sources. Best practice that we've always advocated for a long time is put first flush diverters on your water tanks. So in other words, the first lot of dirty water that hits the roof is diverted away from your water tank. If everyone did that and had that, the risk would be so minuscule, because any of that particulate matter would then be washed away from your tank, and that includes your wood smoke and your dust and your dirt and whatever else. If that is washed away from your tank, then you're removing the main source of pollutants.
Trouble is, I read the flight path is over the same houses all the time. We have 20, 30 flights, or actually 40 flights a day. You might clean it away with your first flush, but after that it builds up.
Potentially, the wind doesn't blow the same, and the way the particles distribute in the atmosphere will be different.
It's just, it is a community issue, and we haven't been able to find anyone that would help us. You have been the most helpful. Like, we've approached the departments that you mentioned, and they didn't want to know us at all. Air Services Australia just said, oh, well, we put the flight path there, but it's not our problem. And we can't get any politicians to take it on board or to get any testing done. We realised probably not from the water tank, but perhaps from the roof of the house, because it's been discharged there all the time.
Is there a commercial laboratory in town who could do some basic work on just a couple of tanks to find out whether you do anything to be alarmed about it? I don't think it'd be terribly expensive, but your own expense.
It depends what you're testing for and how many tests you're doing, but some of those chemical analysis are in the hundreds of dollars.
But sometimes they're just allays people's fears. On the other hand, sometimes you find something alarming, as we know.
I think that's what people are worried about.
Council boarding. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. If you can forward any information to us, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Deirdre, Nicky Dodgers Ferry. With the fire abatement policy, what effect does that have on the bone seed, which is right along the front of the bank from the water line up along the bank from First Avenue? Just curious.
To the GM or to?
Oh, that's correct. I'm happy to answer that one, thank you. Probably there's not, the policy that's approved is really only an update on a policy we've had for more than 10 years. So it doesn't have any in those circumstances, it doesn't change the status quo from what we've done in previous years. If our officers sort of assess whether it be our Crown land, is Crown land?
Nobody knows.
Yes, that's correct.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So in circumstances other than that, where you've got private property, if something's considered to be a fire hazard, an abatement notice to be issued if the owner doesn't comply with it. In circumstances where the ownership is questionable, it's difficult, and there have to be an assessment about the level of threat to properties. There have been on occasion where council has abated a nuisance because the risk is considered so great that it's in the public interest to do it, but that's more the exception than the rule.
The trouble is, if there was a fire down on the beach up front, it would come up and over.
Yeah.
Because it's right along the front there. It's probably more to get it, it's better to see it when the blossom's out.
Yes.
So,
I suppose the one thing that has been very useful, and I thought I might remember the name of it, Geo is someone that did that. Yeah, they did a really comprehensive bushfire risk assessment, looking at the whole of the southern region, the whole of Great Hobart, which we included, and some of the foreshore areas from a bushfire risk came up quite low because there's no firefighting because it's so narrow. So there isn't a lot of fuel load to drive it. So most of our abatement program is about not bushfire protection per se. It's about trying to stop a fire starting in like most, generally speaking, the southern beaches, because it's not a big risk in the surrounding pond, but we still assess those and stop it getting off just so it's under control, and then the fire brigade can get there to put it out. That's what the main basis
don't
is.
think they'll be able to get there. So can I come and live with you at my house?
I love
Thank you. I'll give you more roses.
Absolutely. You might get my garden looking a lot better.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Hi everyone, I'm Christian. For those that don't, for the people here that aren't aware, I was contacted a little while ago about some residents that were quite passionate about the way the implementation of the green bins. Personally, I love green bins. I live in Carlton and my green bin is full of stuff ready to be taken out tomorrow. Not really sure. I've sent a number of people came to me with concerns about the implementation of the green bins, specifically that they lived on rural properties and were very self-sufficient in their waste. And they felt they didn't have a say in the implementation of the green bins. And so, as someone that doesn't live on a rural property, I don't know what it's like to live on a rural property. So we went and did a survey. You know, I love surveys. And the survey was about, well, how do you deal with do you have a green bin? How do you deal with your waste? And if you can, would you like to opt out of the green bin? So I chose a very arbitrary figure of 250 that we provided the surveys, we hand delivered them to the litter boxes of every resident that has a green bin and has a property over 2,000 metres square. I thought that was a relatively good distinction, and we asked them, there's a number of questions, and the survey went to them, and I had something else I was going to say. So I also did some research around the implementation of the green bins. I understand that it was the lines of the green bins in terms of who got them and who didn't was delineated based on the planning scheme and what was designated rural or something like that. So we had Greg generously provided the maps of where the green bins were. And it's pretty clear that you get some areas where identical properties, some get green bins, and 50 metres down the road, 20 metres down the road, you get properties without green bins. Personally, I'm not a big fan of fee for service. I'm definitely more passionate about universal services. Everyone gets access to it, everyone gets stuff out of it. But in this case, because the council is choosing to have provide a section of residents with the green bins. It was really interesting to get. It was really interesting to try and get people's view on what a better system might look like, take into account the needs of the people, with especially the rural residents. So we did the survey and everyone received it. It's pretty clear. So we did about 900 houses. We had over 100 responses back. It's very clear that people who have larger properties generally deal with their own waste, which in terms of circular economy is actually ideal. I think it's really good. It was incredible to hear all the people talk about their chooks and what they do with their own waste, and they've been doing it for many years. So we've got some also people here that are passionate enough to come along. So from those survey results, pretty much 100% believe that they, as rural residents, they believe they should be consulted with any changes around waste. And I think 99% of people said they would like to opt out of the green bin. So these are people with properties larger than 2,000 metres squared that currently have a mandatory green bin. So what we are asking from council, and these are listed in my recommendations from the survey, is that as of next financial year, the council allow people who have a block above 2,000 metres squared to be able to opt out of the green bin, because essentially what's come out of the survey is that residents do not like that there is a one-size-fits-all policy for urban and rural residents. And there are some residents, like I said, that one side of the street has green bins, one side of the street doesn't. So it feels like there was lots of feeling that there was no kind of logic to it. The second recommendation, I had my laptop up. So it was for the Sorell Council to undertake consultation with rural residents before any further changes to waste services and bring rural residents in the decision-making process from the very start. And also the third recommendation is Sorell Council to tailor approaches in policy development to address the unique needs of both rural and urban residents and avoid the one-size-fits-all approach. And also there were some people who were just outside the zone who really wanted green bins as well. So the next recommendation was actually assess the feasibility of an opt-in possibility, especially for those people who perhaps on the routes or very close. Perhaps they, if they're going out to copying and they're just on the side of the road or just a small offshoot and they really want a green bin, then perhaps we should allow them to opt in. So there's some people around Wattle Hill that were really interested in that. And yeah, I can also provide some more data, but in terms of circular economy, these rural residents, they had it down. They're completely self-sufficient. And a lot of them have chickens and plenty of eggs. There's lots of eggs local eggs being grown, produced in our local community with our rural residents. And yeah, I suppose the main question for me is, will the council take on recommendation number 1 and allow the rural residents who have property above 2,000 metres squared to opt out? I saw Greg just shake his head. Does that mean no?
Not their choice. I just threw them out. Like Commissioner Corey, just procedurally, what is the better approach from us is that given the amount of work that's gone into it and the questions being asked they're quite particular to a pretty significant service that we're offering. I think it's a better approach for you and for us that we take them on notice and we provide a detailed response at the next council meeting in writing, so it's done openly and in public. Same thing, sorry. And that way, there's an opportunity for Greg for myself to formally consider the managing phrase and the information contained in that survey, and we provide our considered view to the council, and the council can can so determine. So I just think it warrants that level of response in, to reflect effort you put into it. And I think, council aren't in a position to make decisions now in public question time, but I just think it's a neater way and a more complete way to get a better considered response to yourself on behalf of those who have provided that information to you.
Yeah, thank you, that sounds good. Sorry, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. It was just a general question put out there. So yeah, that sounds great, thank you.
I would like to say Greg's shake of the head wasn't declined to you, it was deferred to Robert.
I realise that, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. We've also got a couple of local residents that might want to say something.
My name is Shiras from 710 Primos Road, and I've been here before, and I've told to these people my story, which yes, I am very angry, and a lot of people very angry like me. Like me, after there 20 years, 18 years, sorry, no once I bring out green waste, and I never will. Why the life now is so expensive? Why I have to push myself to save more money to give it to you for nothing? That's my argument. Why do you understand it?
I understand, or I hear what you're saying.
It's a personal, sorry for the review, but it's a personal, because we are personals, we can't afford it.
I think the answer to your question will be provided in the council's response to Christian's recommendations. The council has to set a position. I do hear what you're saying. I can't give you that answer now, here and now. The waste policy was drawn up on best current practice, and consideration for the environment and the public of the community. I can't say more than that. We did seek public opinion. The consultation period was very short, and we took advice and data from various places, and we set a criteria. Your specific question, I believe, will be answered in Robert's response.
Fair enough. I understand you can't do something now, but I hope when you people get together, you get the right idea, the right opinion,
The right decision.
the right decision.
We will endeavour to make the right decision.
And if, sorry, keep going.
We will in time review what we're doing to maintain that best practice. Greg is very good at his job, he's very experienced, and he keeps himself informed. And in time, the policy will be reviewed going forward, especially as we move on to FOGO. But your immediate answer will be responded to by Robert.
My daughter have sent the message, emails, and we don't get the right answer what we want. He says, we have no choice, we have to keep paying. Other people which are fine because I went around and I have 150 signatures plus here, and my wife have another 50 signatures on the phone. A lot of people are angry about this decision you made. I hope the next one will be the right one. And now if I could ask another question, which is not to the bill. In Primos, where I live, I received a letter a couple of years ago, and I'm stupid, I did not sign the letter. I received a letter from the council, which the government gives money to the council to fix the other highway. And we have as a Primos resident, we have the choice to tell you what we like to be done. I did not do nothing because my English is not good and I'm not good with the computers and I can't write either. I done nothing and I throw by the letter. Since then, I did not see nothing on the highway. The only thing I see, few pegs with a blue type on it. Is that something to do to fixing the other highway or not? Can anybody can answer me on that?
I'll have to defer to the general manager for this one.
Hasn't he guessed that the state government who looks after the Arthur Highway, they started a project best part of 2 years ago looking at options for how they can improve the operation of the highway, safety and overtaking and things like that, all the way from here to Port Arthur. And they went through a assessment process last year, which they've completed. I don't know what the outcomes were of it, like which projects they're going to pursue or not. They had an allocation of funds for some of those projects, but I'm happy to chase that up for you because you've reminded me I actually haven't got a conclusion from them about what they're going to do and when. So I'll find that out for you.
Because I lived there plus 18 years, I lived there. I used to have shack there and I'm gone to Primos since 1975. Now, the first I know, the road, the highway from the Fawcett to the Sugarloaf Road never been touched since then. And also now what we need, I think what we need few overtime lines. Because, as I said, from the Fawcett to the Sugarloaf Road, none overtime line. If you get a truck, or if you get old fella which down slow, and you in a hurry, you can't pass it.
I can say through the mayor, I know that was, I recall now that was one of the options that was being assessed, particularly from Fawcett through to Sugarloaf.
Yeah.
I'll find out what happens to that.
By the Sugarloaf to the Copy, they done very good and very big bus road, bus wise. Plus from Danali to Ikohogne, it's been spent a lot of money there too. So I think from Sugarloaf Road to Fawcett,
Yeah.
we deserve some work to do there.
I'll find out first, Ross.
Thank you.
I say something, Chair Johnson, but I think I have nothing to do. I have the right to.
Have we got any further questions from the public?
Oh, no, we're just observing.
Ow!
Yes,
I knew it.
Me first,
You
first,
first, go on.
I'll give you all a little letter first, if that's all right.
Oh, you're so kind.
Hello.
Thank you.
We're getting there, we're slowly getting there. Right. How much is it going?
Thank you.
All right.
Off you go, Rob.
Well, thank you. So, please don't mind, Rob Young, and I'm here, we brought together the Matthew Brady Art Awards, and we institute the awards this year coming up as part of what we're planning or hoping to plan for the Sorell Carnival for next year as well. We brought this concept to the council before, and we know that it takes a while and things to do, but we've been able to bring the art awards forward and institute them for this year to coincide with Matthew Brady's 200th anniversary. And what we'd like to do is ask the council for their kind help and support, being as having this a community event. The RSL has taken it on as a charitable event, which makes it really easy given that they're right alongside the Memorial Hall. We've made a tentative booking for the 29th, 30th, 31st and the 1st of January for the hall. at this stage. What we'd like to do is we'd like to ask the council to donate the time and waive the fee for the use of the hall to help us institute the art award for this year and see how we go. We'd like to be able to get the funds to be able to pay everyone. So far to date, we've managed to raise just over $2,500 towards the prize funds. We've received cash donations from Rebecca White, Claire Chandler, Andrew Jenner from Midway Point from there as well. They've all given us cash donations, and a bottle of wine's going to Jane Howell, I hope it's 57 Grange Herman. And Rebecca White has also written, in discussions I've had with her, she's also written to the Premier, asking the Premier to fully fund this through his discretionary fund. So we're hoping to get some funds towards that, and a lot of the money we've raised so far goes towards the prize pool. We're hoping to raise $7,500 for the prize pool. This makes it a greater prize pool than what the Hobart Art Show has been in the last year. The total prize pool for that was $4,750. And what we're aiming to do is present a first prize greater than the total prize pool for the Hobart Art Show. We want to bring together the southeast of the state and provide the southeast of the state with an event that it can be proud of, and something to work towards to hopefully show the arts community and help them gain an art centre. Sorell being the hub of the East Coast and the Southeast, it's the ideal place for an art centre to be, and it stands to reason it should be the place it should be, given the amount of people and how Sorell has grown exponentially over the years. And the lack of anything for the arts here is although the council has been visiting here for years. So we know that there's a need for the arts community, and the best way to get that started is to bring attention to the arts community. The best way we thought is through an art show. So we'd like the council's help. From my side, it's the financial side. We want you to waive the fee and give us the hall for free. That'd be really grateful if you could, please, because it is the people's hall, it is the people's money, and they do the link to you. We think that would be very nice of you to do that for us. And now I'd just like to hand over to Rita, because she's got some things that she'd like to ask of you as the council. So
yes,
thanks for that, and please come along on the 30th.
oh yes, yes, as you know, my name is Dorika, and all I want to know is the boards that we used to hang the artwork on, have you got them still, and the hangers? So if we need them, we can, you guys can supply them and maybe bring the manpower to bring them over, like we used to. And we used to have that Southeast Arts.
I believe that the stands were borrowed from Kingston Rotary. Potentially they didn't belong to us. We did have the hangers on the walls, but that was.
So you still got the hangers on the walls then?
Like these.
Yeah, those.
Yes, we do.
Are you talking about the brown foldy?
Yeah, the ones that you just fold, the boards that you fold out and say.
Pin boards, basically pin boards, display boards.
So pretty much.
Excuse me, you had a chance to ask me a question, could you allow us to talk to?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. The brown boards that were originally used belonged to the Lions, and they were the old election petition boards, the brown ones. I might be able to track those down for you, because they were stored at Wattle Hill for a while. Maybe they're still at Wattle Hill, I haven't looked recently. Or they could have gone back to, they did belong to the Lions. If we're talking about the same boards.
Well, we could,
So
so you've got something to hang them.
I would be able to do that.
Oh, that'd be absolutely wonderful.
As for your request for the hall for free, we don't do that. Every cause is a worthy cause, and where do we draw the line? So we don't hire venues out for free, regardless.
$2 a day sounds fine. We're happy with that. We'll be happy with that.
I apologise that I wasn't at the last council workshop when your event was discussed, because I was away. So I don't know what that discussion was, but we can certainly take the event conversation to the next workshop, I believe.
Yeah, we can.
Because I'm not up to speed with it, so.
I haven't had a chance to brief on it. It was discussed, and we'll be in contact with you as a result of that.
That would be, I mean, as you can understand, this is a community thing. We're trying to generate for the community. And it's nice if the council could find some gratitude in their hearts to finally do that. If I could, as an addendum, if I might add, just to your last debate about the green bin, people in number 11 and 13 Somerville Street, that live between the Pembroke Hotel and the old lodge, the antique centre there, they can't get a green waste bin because apparently that land there is classed as light industrial, even though there's 2 houses owned by the Housing Commission.
I can't answer specific for that property, but it sort of goes a little bit to something Christian raised, that basically there's a few properties in Sorell that is owned business or like, and they have residences on them. Wasn't necessarily an oversight, it's just something that it turns out those properties was owned business and there are residences on them. So when those people have asked us and wanted it in, we said, fine, if you understand you have to charge $65, but.
Now, these housing commissioners, so they don't pay for them anyway. I live in 16 Walker Street in a unit of 7 units. And Jim's mowing does our area, but everyone got a big green waste bin in a block of 7 units. So mine will put a nice ice bath this summer. but that's, you see what I'm saying? The common sensality of it. So if you drop a couple of bins around 11, 13, that'd be great.
Thank you. And we're going to hold for free, there we go.
Thanks very much for your time, appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions from the public, from the audience? No? Right then, well, thank you for coming along tonight. And we've taken on board all that's been said. And we will communicate back to you in one way, shape or form. So I'd like to close the meeting, if there's no other matters, at 7:30. Thank you very much.
Thank
See how stiff we get when we sit down.
Thank you all very much.
Give me your phone number.
Thank you.
Have you got a home one?
Yes.